Welcome. In today's video, I'm going to talk about women's SMV compared to men's SMV. How you can have a higher SMV market on a dating scale. But first of all, I'm going to go into more important stuff. Because like I said before, MGTOW, we do not put women first. I'm not going to give a care about women. I'm going to just give a brief explanation about this. But today, I was able to make some progress in life. I was able to go forward a little bit, make some progress. I'm pretty happy about that. And McHenry Cruiser, if you're actually joining MGTOW, you can welcome you. We welcome you. But on a personal note, since you are in California right now, if you're watching this, I would try to talk with talent agents and try to get into Hollywood, get into the movies. I mean, that would help with your dream of being a WWE star. Because I have watched some of your videos. I mean, they're pretty funny. They're pretty good. But on that, another thing you can watch out for is the stock market. I have noticed something in the news right now. It might be pretty soon. It might be a good time pretty soon to start putting money in, especially when these tariffs come up in December. I mean, you can just watch because China and the United States are starting to get into more of a conflict. Remember when I told you before that tariffs destroy the stock market, make it go down? And this is precisely what's happening. So the stock market is starting to go down, so you might be able to put money into it. And when these tariffs start to get better, then it'll go up, then you would make money. So that's a good way to make money in the stock market. But I'm going to tell you something about the CDL and what I had to do and some of the stuff I had to do. I took the test and I passed it. There's two things you need to do to take a permit test. One of the things, you have to get a physical. You have to go get a physical from a certified doctor or wherever they do the physicals. And they'll give you a card like this. This is the card you have to bring to show the cops, because the cops are going to look for this. Because to drive a big vehicle, they don't want you to have high blood pressure, and they want you to be in good health. So that's why they have those physicals. And in later videos, I'm going to see if I can show you guys some of the exercises I like to do. And one particular exercise I like to do is the full body dip. Oh, I love the full body dip. I do that one all the time. And I actually like putting weights on when I do that. I put 45 pounds on. So I'm like lifting 250 pounds. So I'm able to do that several times. So I love the exercise. It gets the tricep real good, and it can get the chest. Chin-ups is another one. But I'm going to show you guys how to do some of that, how I do it. But I took in the exam for permit. I got a permit right here. I took the exam for it. And I'm going to show you. I remember some of the questions that were on there. And for one thing, here's a question that was on there. And here's one of the answers. Locking jaw needs to be around the shank. Okay, the semi is going to have a little locking jaw in it. And as you see, a trailer, it's going to be shaped like this. The locking jaw is the part on top. So it needs to be connected to that locking jaw on top. The locking jaw needs to be connected to that. And this is what I found. This is actually one of the most common questions though. The most common type of foundation break, the 5-cam break, that's almost on every test. The most common type of foundation break, 5-cam test. That's almost in any test. Here's another one. The application pressure gauge. What's that? Tells how much air pressure is applied to the brake. Here's another one that says almost on every test. This one is also. Supply pressure gauge. which is a gauge that they're both in the cabin, tells the amount of air in the tank. And here's another one that's almost on every test. The low pressure warning gauge is when the air pressure is below 60 psi. That's the warning that you give when the low pressure is below 60 psi. You don't want to be lower than that. I would get off the street if it was lower than that. If you have a leak in the lines, you have to get it fixed. Because what would happen is the emergency brakes would come on. That's what would happen. Because if it goes down too low, and let's say if you have a leak, what would happen is if the emergency brakes go on, you might lose control of your vehicle. And spring brakes, which is like a parking and emergency brakes, automatically come on at 20 to 40 psi. And what happens is spring air is keeping the spring brakes in place. If that air goes away, it automatically connects, causing the brake, and you're not going to have a choice. It's going to break, and you can actually slid off the road. But in some type of vehicles, like buses, there's some type of vehicles that does have an extra tank to give you a little bit more time if you push the right buttons. But that's some of the stuff that I have found that has been on it. But now let's talk about SMV, Women's Sexual Market Value. The most common, with women, the most common problem with them is, in my opinion, the number one problem is single moms. Just hear me out here. You don't have to be angry, just hear me out here. Single moms puts a man in a position where he has to be like a millionaire to take care of him. They're going to have to get houses. They're going to have to get a house big enough for a couple kids or a few kids. So that puts a man in a really predicament. And also, single moms, the kid requires time, and it takes time from trying to date them. That's why the single mom's the worst thing you can do, and that just destroys your SMV, because you literally can't do anything. And the second one that I have seen, in my opinion, drug use. Nothing ages you faster than drug use. I mean, you got people complaining about how women in their 40s look so old. A lot of times it's from drug use. They said look all old and stuff like that. Nobody wants the old, ugly lady. That's what happens. But if a lady is in her 30s, mid-30s, who takes care of herself, she could still get some guys if she wanted to. But avoid those drugs and avoid the kids. I mean, the kids are going to slow you down. And it forces the man to be rich to take care of you. But what about men attracting women? Well, you gotta understand, the SMV for men is in women's hands. They choose that. And one of the things I can tell you right now is you don't have to be 6 foot tall. I mean, you don't have to be that. But one of the things I can tell you right now is be in good shape. Don't be fat. Women do not like fat men. I'm going to tell you that right now. So, that's about all I know on top of my head about it. But hopefully next time I'll see you, I'll have some better news. It's going to be a couple weeks before do another video. Hopefully I have some better news for you. And I hopefully I'll be right here with some great news.